start with our roll call, that would be great.
Yes, I will. Allison Buck,
Here.
David Esau,
Here from
Recording
Ann
in
Arbor.
progress.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was supposed to say here and in Ann Arbor. Wasn't I supposed to?
yes.
Yeah, sorry.
David,
Here in Ann Arbor.
Sarah Fuller,
Here in Ann Arbor.
Sophie Gregg,
Here in Ann Arbor.
John Katarski,
Here in Ann Arbor.
Peggy Leonard,
Here in Ann Arbor.
Wasenta Young.
Here in Ann Arbor.
You have a quorum.
Thank you.
I did not, wait a minute, I did not call Travis Redina.
Here in Ann Arbor.
Sorry, Travis.
You're all right.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is our approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve? Thank you, John. Second? David, thank you. Any discussion of the agenda?
No.
Great. All in favor of the agenda as it is?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, the agenda is approved. Next on our agenda is public comment. The commission welcomes Jennifer Goulet, except for I spoke with her and she's actually going to come to our August meeting. It was kind of short notice, and so we've pushed it back one more time. But she is the chair of the Ypsilanti Arts Commission, and she and I have been in contact, and she's going to come talk to us about what they're up to and kind of introduce herself so we can have that conversation back and forth a little bit in August. Next on our agenda is Trish Duckworth. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, that's fine. It's Trisha, but Trish is fine.
Trisha, welcome.
Thank you. So I just go?
Go for it. Yeah.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for having us in the meeting and on the agenda. Also want to thank Councilperson Travis Redina for just everything you're doing. How about that? But for initiating and getting us into before the Art Commission. Again, thank you all. So why are we here? We are interested in doing a Black Lives Matter street mural here in the city of Ann Arbor. It means a lot to the community, right? To see and to know that Black Lives Matter and that we're present in a world that tries to push Black lives to the back burner and not really notice and see who we are as a people. We are so excited because these murals are going up all over the United States, even right in Ypsilanti. We are so excited. We will actually be painting a mural in Ypsilanti on Saturday and Sunday. The locations are South Washington Street, just off of Michigan Ave, and down into Riverside Park off of Cross Street. See, the dog even loves Black Lives Matter. You know what I mean? Like, hey. So we are truly excited and just come before you all to ask if you would please vote in favor of this mural. It's not just a cosmetic statement, right? It's not just something that we want people to just walk by and look at. This is something that we are trying to do so that we can also push programming and do certain community activities at the site. And we'll talk a little bit more about the site in a moment that we are proposing to you all. Trevor will come with that. But again, this is not just a cosmetic statement. This is something that we are using to push legislative change. This is something that we want to use to bring the community together about this very serious conversation and how we need to push Black lives forward and enhance the lives of Black citizens across the country, right? But even here in Ann Arbor. As we know, Ann Arbor is one of the most elite cities in the United States, right? And what an amazing feat that would be to have this mural, have programming that would uplift the Black community. So I'm going to pass it over to Trevor, and then he may pass it back to me in the end.
Hey, folks, thanks for having us out. Yeah, we really appreciate it. Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Hey, is there any way I can share my screen to do like a 60-second presentation? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Do I need to be granted permissions or? made
Likely,
a co-owner of Ann Arbor or something.
Benita can handle that if you just give him 1 second.
Sure.
How about now, Trevor? Are you all set?
It looks like it's going to work. Perfect.
Okay,
Perfect.
good.
Okay, let me just scooch this around real quick. And all right, can you all see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's roll. Great. So, as Trish said, we are this weekend we're painting, and a lot of the community is coming together in Ypsi to knock out 2 murals. They are going to be sites for programming that so we can celebrate Black life and try to make Black lives better. From education to cultural to legislative change. That's what we're trying to do. And so, you all have probably seen these in the news, right? I mean, you've seen this, right? So here we have San Fran, that's DC, here's New York, right? And then Ypsi's coming up right here. So on South Washington, that's what that's going to look like by the tap room right off of Michigan Avenue. And there's a big parking lot, if you notice over to the right, where, we can just host a ton of programming, put a bunch of tables there, have all kinds of family activities. The other one we're doing is right off across street going down into Riverside Park. And again, it's certainly not just cosmetic. There are so many, cultural productions that we can host here. So that's what we're excited about, right? And then as far as Ann Arbor, we wanted to chat with you all, but we thought that, let me get this. How do I get the screen out of the way a little bit? There's the Ann Arbor African American Festival, right? And it happens down there on Ann Street. So we thought this might be a good place to start. If that space is already being utilized in such a fashion to celebrate Black life, then we were thinking about starting there. Just it already is a venue, right? And then we would like to maybe do another one, but we want to take a minute to actually work with the community and and work with the Black community specifically to see where another good location might be to do that. So that's what we have right there. Does anybody have any questions about this location?
I do. This is David Esau. Is the festival actually occur on Ann Street? I thought it was on 4th Ave.
So it's and 4th at
Just
that
the
intersection generally is the
Okay.
stage. The section that you're seeing is generally where mostly vendors are during that celebration.
Okay. So would it get covered up by vendor booths then?
Not necessarily covered up. They will be able to see it, but there will be portions of it that will be people's tables and things would be right there as well.
So remind me when that fair happens.
So it normally happens in June. I am grateful. I've been one of the MCs of that festival for about the last 10 years now. And so really grateful for that opportunity. But it usually happens in June. Looks like it could happen this year in August. But if it does not happen this year in August, we will come back next year in June. But there is a strong push to move it forward to happen in August this year.
John,
have
you have your hand up.
Just a second, Cynthia. I wanted to respond to Trevor. I think the place is awesome. Particularly historically, because there were liveries and blacksmith shops, predominantly Black businesses, right on 4th between Main and on Ann between Main and 4th. And on the corner of 4th and Ann was the 3rd post office of Ann Arbor. And the 2nd floor of that post office was where abolitionists met, white New Englanders met there, and they created a movement. And right around the corner on 4th, right by Ann, was the Dunbar Center. It was the first African-American community center. So, I mean, where you're situating this is absolutely perfect for the history of Black businesses, Black social communities in Ann Arbor, and that Birkenstock building it's the Kaiser building, it's called. So it's where the Birkenstock shoes are being sold. That was the Dunbar Center, and on the 3rd floor were rooms that Blacks could rent because they weren't allowed in any hotels in Ann Arbor. So it really became a center of the Black business community. There wasn't too much residential there, but so it's an important site. There is a mural already on the side of, I think it's a retaining wall, or it's a part of the parking
structure.
Yeah, parking structure.
Sure.
And it signifies several Black individuals in Ann Arbor's history. There's some historical markers on the county building that talk about the Black businesses on Ann Street. So, you know, I think the location is awesome. I'm sorry, Wasantha.
Thank you
It's
for
okay.
saying that.
My question is, why not fourth? Why, over Ann? Yeah.
So actually last night when we had a conversation, just talking about it, we actually were proposing doing one on Ann and one on Fourth. That
Mhm.
way it's on both streets. I was not aware of the full history, so thank you so much. I don't want to chop your last name, so I'll say Mr. John. Thank you so much for giving that in-depth detail. But we do know that that is the reason why the African American Downtown Festival is there, because of that fact. So thank you so much for sharing that. And my opinion, I feel like having it on Fourth and is something that would be great for programming, not just for the African American Downtown Festival, but even for other things that could happen there at that place. As a matter of fact, we're proposing at the one in Ypsi, there's Black Men Read, that they can invite kids out and have story hour with children there. We're looking and proposing to have students from Eastern, teachers come in and have their students actually conduct class there, right? To talk about transforming policy and things of that nature.
The high school's coming down.
So why did you pick Ann over Fourth? That's what I'm wondering, because for me, Fourth gets a lot more traffic and visibility than Ann does. And so, what made you go to Ann instead?
Well, I would basically say my partner, no, I don't want to throw him under the bus, but we're really big in talking to the community. However, we did talk to some community partners who felt that spot was good. So we're actually we're proposing 2 murals, which could actually go on both Fourth and Ann.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Sophie, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear that conversation about Fourth versus Ann, because certainly Ann is seen more as a side street, I think, whereas Fourth is very much a main thoroughfare. A lot of people walk there as well as traffic. So I'm just wondering, were you planning to have one sort of, say, Black Lives Matter and one more pictorial or graphic, or what were you thinking about for the 2 sites if you do both?
At this point, really, when you type in Black Lives Matter street murals, there's a couple things that comes up. All the beautiful murals that people have made, and then immediately in that same batch of images, usually there's this images of people pouring paint on top, people who don't feel like Black Lives Matter, or who are not familiar with that struggle. And so we decided in Ypsi, both the designs are using the official Black Lives Matter font, Cornerstone, and it's just in yellow. And specifically because if someone comes and pours paint in the middle of the night, or if it happens a couple times, then it's going to be easy to clean it up, make it look beautiful again. And it'd be much easier to repaint like a letter and keep a line crisp than like a detailed, portrait with transitional shading and stuff like that. So I think the letters will still look beautiful, but I think that, it's like a placeholder for all the cultural programming that could happen there.
Craig, I see your hand up. Craig, yeah, you.
Yeah. So the bureaucrat will speak, and it's as you do this mural, city code only allows you to use chalk paint within the right of way. So it will have to be chalk paint by code. And I want to make you aware of that.
So that would disappear pretty quick.
Not necessarily. If you look at, the corner of Detroit and Catherine, there on the sidewalk, there's a chalk paint drawing that's been there since fall. It starts to degrade, but that's not what we can change. That's code.
The chalk
City
paint that
code.
comes in, like you're talking about the ones that come in like the spray cans, not
Yeah,
like the mixed chalk.
it's a
Yeah.
commercial chalk paint. It's not regular chalk.
Well, I definitely respect your feedback there, sir. But I think anything has possibility to be changed. When it comes to this mural, just one moment, when it comes to the mural, when it comes to Black Lives Matter, this is something that we don't want to go away. See,
I respect that.
I'm
But
sorry, I was speaking.
okay.
And so this is something that we could actually even go to city council about and ask them to actually change the ordinance. So when I mean that, something can be done, that is exactly what could be done. I think city council is in the light now. Where we're at right now, we can't accept something that would just go away, right? Because that's been the existence of Black people, where we just want to push off in the corner, downsize, or make it be something that really does not matter. And we want this to be a staple in the community for as long as it can possibly be. So if that is something that is a barrier, then it would be something definitely that we would want to talk to city council about.
I guess that was one of my questions, was how long you wanted it to, because all of the projects we've seen in the streets recently, which have been monumental, because trust me, there's been mural projects proposed for the streets for years that have been said no, 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 no. And then now we've been able to do a couple that were temporary. And I think the whole fact that they were temporary was a good selling point for them. So I was wondering what, if your intentions were for it to be a long-term project or not. So it sounds like long-term, yeah, not temporary. Cool. Okay.
IPSI's letting us use asphalt grade paint. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that it stays.
The same that they use for like crosswalks, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Craig. Actually, Craig, if this is a continuation of what you were saying, go for it. But Sophie did have her hand up.
It is a continuation. And thank you, because you were saying exactly where I was going to go. Is to change the code, we have to go to city council, and we would look at Travis to sponsor those changes. It would be a two-step process to change the code to allow non-chalking drawings within the right-of-way. So I'm not against
Craig,
your direction at all.
Right away includes what exactly within the road?
Basically in the downtown, it's building face to building face.
Oh, so like the whole road.
Yeah.
Road and sidewalks.
So I guess what I'm saying is, I agree that if you want to put it in permanent, we go ahead and ask council to change their code.
Sophie, your hands is up.
Well, can Travis speak first, and then
Oh, sure.
I'll follow on from him.
Yeah, I can jump in. I guess one of my questions is a follow-up to Craig's, which that was my understanding as well under the current code, because it was something that we ran into when I was still president of the Jim Toy Center, and there was some talk of doing some art on the street and things for Pride. But I guess I was wondering, when it comes to the chalk piece, the chalk-based paint piece, you mentioned, I mean, there's stuff that has lasted since the fall. In terms of cost, is it more expensive, less expensive than traditional paint? Is my first question, because I wonder if this is just something, Trevor mentioned that there's kind of some plan to potentially have to redo some of this anyway, if hopefully this does not happen. But as we have seen elsewhere where some vandalism has taken place, things like that, it sounds like there's maybe some plan to make sure that there's continual upkeep. I wonder if that's something that could be planned in, if it's not cost prohibitive. And then I guess my second question, and this is probably also for Craig, As we are looking at some of these locations that are proposed, are any of those locations immediately being planned for any type of street or surface repair and replacement that would also factor into needing to redo the artwork itself?
So for your first question on cost of chalk paint versus regular paint, I will admit I am ignorant of that. I have not a clue. And we can look at the next 12 months of resurfacing and get back to you as to what are the intentions for those pavements. My recollection is Fourth is in pretty good shape, as is Ann. So I just don't want to speak because I'll misspeak without looking at any schedules. So
If it is the case that there's going to be some repair, then it seems to me that to hold the place, the chalk would be okay to hold the place, and then when the street is repaired, to have it then painted. And this way you can have time to remove the obstacle of what kind of paint or you can use. If there is going to be some kind of repair stuff going on, I would like to see it still be done, and held in place by using the chalk paint until that resurfacing is done, if that's going to happen.
Sophie, you've had your hand up for quite some time.
Yeah, I agree that we need something permanent for sure. The chalk paint at Main and Liberty lasted only a few days because there's a lot of traffic there. But I'm wondering whether there could be, in order to speed things up, as Wasanta was pointing out, whether there could be a variance, at least to start with. Is that a feasible thing? Whilst, the actual code itself is wrangled with over a longer period.
You're asking a legal question, which I don't know about granting variances to that part of code. That's not within my purview to grant.
Travis, you were saying something?
He needs to be unmuted.
Oh, Benita, can you re-unmute Travis, please?
Old habits. I muted myself
Yes.
the moment I was done talking. That is something that I can ask about as well. I can ask about what the options would be there in terms of whether or not we can grant a variance or if the entire code needs to be changed.
Great. Sarah, you have your hand up.
Yes, I was just wondering if repainting is needed in any way. Is there a way that we could get the community together to help with repainting the mural? It's something that, we saw with the A2 Net Zero mural with Gives 365 in the Parks and Rec department, where the community came together as volunteers and actually helped with the repainting. And that if this is something, again, permanence is, I think, honestly, really required in this type of situation. But if it's going to take a minute to get there, is there a way that we can involve the community in the actual painting so that there is that kind of ownership and commitment to the ideals of what this mural actually means? And then I did have another idea, or just, thought. If the festival may or may not happen in June or August of this year, are there any streets that might be closed off for other festivals? I know Main Street obviously is one that is closed off pretty consistently during the summer months. And why not try Main Street maybe even this year? I mean, really, to give it the visibility that that I think would be great for this city to have. And if we're closing off streets for restaurants, to have more patio seating and things like that. Is there any way that perhaps we could think of Main Street also as another forum?
So Peggy, I'm going to come to you in just a second. Before we jump, I will say that the The Gutman Gallery and the Guild is located on 4th Avenue, right before you hit Ann, heading north. And we'll be applying soon to host a art fair in October 8th through the 10th, closing down all those streets. So that could be another event. I mean, it doesn't sound like it's quite as nicely aligned with all of your values and everything that you would want as the festival you've chosen, but would be another date that the streets would be closed, and we'd be glad to have art happening on the streets.
That's amazing. Actually, to your point, when we first talked about this, so I'm not sure if you all were, I'm sure everybody in Washtenaw County seen the crew report, right? And we've seen the atrocities happening at the prosecutor's office, and how Black and brown people were arrested and convicted at higher rates. And so our first thinking was, hey, we need to put this in front of the courthouse, right? So that we can remind the courthouse that Black Lives Matter. And then we also did talk about, Sarah, Main Street in that area that is closed off, because as a matter of fact, we came through there protesting many times last year. And so, those sites would be great as well. And honestly, more visible, like you said. How can we put it out front, get it out front? The only reason why we were kind of sold with the Ann and 4th area was just because of the programming there. But programming can happen anywhere. The mural can be placed anywhere, right? We just wanted, as you stated, to be visible. And I think some of those sites would make it more visible. Also, to your second point, yes, we would love for the community to be a part. As a matter of fact, this is a community-driven project, and that's the model that we're using in Ypsilanti. So we will have volunteers, we will have painters, we have muralists leading, but community members will actually come out and do the rolling, right? Because we want the community to be vested and feel like they are a part of this project. Again, it brings community togetherness, that unity piece, standing arm in arm, doing something that is very meaningful for the entire community.
Excellent. Peggy, you've had your hand up for a while. Peggy, are you muted again?
Unmuted.
Sorry, Anita, can you unmute Peggy?
She did. So I just wanted to add a couple things. I'm really excited about this project. I'm excited for it to move forward, and I love your energy. I do know, just because I was involved in painting the mandala that we did in April, that chalk paint is twice the cost of other paint. So I think it would be worth getting a variance and getting a permanent paint. And we all know that that mandala mural only lasted a few days. So I don't know if the street wasn't prepped right or what happened, but there was a lot of work that went into that mural for it to only last a short time. And as easy as it is to say, well, we should repaint, it's a lot of work to repaint a mural. Touching it up is one thing, but actually repainting it is a huge project and a little bit demoralizing when you put so much time and effort into it. So I don't know, you'll have to have some discussions. I don't know if that intersection at Main and Liberty, because it gets so much traffic, maybe that was why it washed away. And I know we had rain, but anyway.
It was just latex paint.
It wasn't chalk paint?
No. I talked to Mary about it afterwards.
And is that why she thinks it washed away?
It was only intended to be temporary, but yes.
Oh, well, more temporary than like one day. But anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm excited about your project, and I hope you can get a variance to get a paint that will be permanent.
Yeah, it sounds like that sidewalk stuff would be pretty hardy.
Latex.
I'm sorry,
Sophie,
Sophie?
can you say that again?
So only chalk paint is allowed, but in fact the mandala was latex paint,
Yep.
right?
How did that happen?
Because I believe because the paint was donated.
Oh, we could do that.
Donate the paint. Hey.
But it didn't work. So anyway.
I don't know. That project didn't come to us for approval. We did not give them the same recommendations with our city crew as part of it. So I don't know. So, I mean, personally, I think it sounds like an awesome project. I think actually the site you guys have selected is ideal regardless of what event you do it with or how you get it done. I think having done a lot of research on the area and ways of tying into the Black history of Carytown, you know, whether or not you do that block of Ann or if you do 4th Avenue, there's just rich history of the businesses that have been along that area that you could tie into and really celebrate.
You can turn it up if you want.
And celebrate and, you know, bring to light, which I think would be important, to talk about the rich history of what, you know, what Carytown and the area and everything. So while you might get more people seeing it in other areas, I think it would have more of a, you know, a tie and a purpose and really engaged with the area in that space. So like John, it's a really awesome location for the rich history that goes there. And John is our local historian, so he can really fill you in. Although I will tell you from doing a lot of research, the library has a lot of awesome pictures and articles and things about that space as well that can be picked up too. Jen?
In addition, there are a group of historians in town that recognize the deep African-American history of that area. And so you could get folks to be storytellers, you know, kind of on the street and being, so if you have it in that location, is what Allison is saying, is that you might be able to tie in a lot of this stuff. And there's a group that wants African-American history, Black history, to be more prominent in the way we tell stories. So you could, you know, you could use that as leverage if it's that location, using the Dunbar Center and the African-American businesses on Ann, the Dunbar Center on 4th, and in that particular area. But
Sophie.
That's amazing.
Yeah, John was talking, I remember some months ago, about increasing the number of informational street signs, especially around that area. So I wondered if that might be something can be tied in and maybe inaugurated at the same time, or at least started or something. I don't know whether, John, you've had any thoughts on that since then, or?
Well, part of it is money. Part of it is, you know, moving things forward. And Trish and Trevor, I think, have provided that impetus, a reason to bring this front and center. And, you know, what Sophie was talking about are the glass panels. And there are, I think, about 20 odd glass panels. The group that has been responsible for those, and they most recently have been identified as public art and under the city's purview and kind of under the Art Commission. This is a new thing. So there's a group of local historians, the Downtown Historic Street Exhibit Program. I'm on the board of that. And they give annual tours to high school students all over the downtown area. And that group has been wanting to include more and more stories about African-American history. So this could be the impetus to move that particular project forward. I know that they would prefer not to increase the number of glass panels, but rather to increase the use of those glass panels. I think this is a perfect exception, just as painting the street in a more permanent paint, then maybe adding one of these glass panels. I think you could get a lot of traction, a lot of support. It's going to probably cost about $50,000 to do one of those glass panels. But you have the Community Foundation kind of right around the corner, and they might be able to provide kind of some funding. So this could be a synergy, in particular, if you kept the location Ann and 4th. But I don't think there's a reason, if you move it to Main, why you couldn't also accentuate this particular area. That's my input, and I applaud your energy to go forward. And I think we would all help in any way we can. It won't be easy, but anything good isn't easy to do. And David, I'm sorry, you had your hand up and I just kept going on and on.
Yeah, I have for a long time. Couple things I've been wanting to ask. First of all, does it have to be yellow letters on the paving? Is that a national standard somehow that we have to do that? I know that's what was done in a couple.
It seems like many people have done it. There's been other versions of that, but that's been one of like the staples, like an easily recognizable symbol of like, this not new movement, but of the current like, version of what's happening these days. But what are your thoughts?
Well, a couple things. First of all, just looking at Google Street View of that corner, the mural that John mentioned has big blank walls on either side of it that you could paint on with the county's approval and not have to get a variance from the city and not have cars running over it and wearing it down all the time. There's also a couple big blank walls on some of the businesses around there that would have some room to paint if we could get approval from the owners. The other thing is just yellow letters on pavement doesn't really have an aesthetic component, which is the primary reason that this commission exists. It would be nice if we could get something that added, it's an important message, but that added something aesthetic to the community instead of just yellow letters. Could they be outlines that are painted in with different colors and designs and stuff, or surrounded with other designs or something like that?
Definitely something to consider. I think I maybe depends on your aesthetic taste. I understand what you're saying, that it's not like a full-blown detailed, floral mural in a sense, but it could be, personally, I have simple graphic, appreciation kind of those aesthetics. So, I've always appreciated that starkness, but please let me think about what you said. You brought up great points.
Samantha?
Well, art in and of itself doesn't always have to be beautiful, and colorful. Art makes statements, art pushes buttons. Art causes people to think. So, I don't necessarily see it that way. I see that it's almost like the guy who did the Campbell soup cans, so to speak, that was considered art. And yet at the same time, it wasn't aesthetically pleasing. I've been to the Martin Museum of Modern Art in Manhattan, and I almost walked on something that was a piece of art that were bricks on the floor. I said, "Oh, let me go this way," and I'm like, "Oh, wait, that's a piece of art." So I don't know that as the name art means it has to be that. So I see those yellow letters as a statement, as a political kind of artistic piece in and of itself.
So Sophie, guys, we're going to start wrapping up this conversation. I know we're all very excited about the project, obviously,
yes,
and have lots of comments and things to tell you about. I think there are sounds like there's a couple ordinances and variances and things that you'll have to navigate, and we're here to support you through that. But we have lots of ideas and we could go all day. So I'm going to start wrapping us up. Sophie, your hand was up, and Travis, your hand was up, and we'll go in that order.
Yeah, just quickly on the yellow letters in that font on the black pavement. I think that it's not just about what's happening in our city. The point is to connect up with all the other cities. So it would make sense to do the same. It's like a logo, people recognize it even if it's upside down or they can't read or whatever. It's a recognizable thing. So I think there's a reason to keep it that way, even if you add something else somewhere else. Yeah.
Travis?
Yeah, and I will not say any more on that. I agree with both Sophie and Masentha on kind of their comments there. I think there is something artistic about the statement that's being made and the simplicity with which it's being said. And Trish, we've talked. I think that I'm excited about the opportunity here, and I will wrap up this part of the conversation by saying I have written down the follow-up pieces that we need to follow up on, and we can just continue to stay in touch. And I will do my homework and work with staff to figure out what kind of bureaucratic hurdles might exist that we need to consider and potentially work through as well. And we can kind of continue to work on that. And of course, I'll keep the commission informed as well.
So Trish and Trevor, I give you the floor to wrap up this conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you all for your feedback. Even Mr. Craig, I'm so sorry. I just get so passionate about things like this. And so no harm at all, sir. My
Oh,
apologies.
none taken at all. Appreciate the
I'm just,
passion.
very passionate, but I don't want to be rude. And so this is why I want to offer that apology to you.
Not needed, not needed at all.
Okay, thank you. What we will say for our final ask, if we could do 4th and Main Street, 4th and Main Street. I think that would just be amazing. And I would love to just walk over Black Lives Matter as we're protesting out there, right? You know, and I just thank you all for the opportunity to be here to present. You could have turned us down and not even allowed us to come in and present. And so we thank you so much just for the opportunity. And we are looking forward to building. I will say, as far as, I don't know how you all do this, as far as, do you cover expenses and things of that nature? But we've actually raised money. And so we are so excited because we got all the money raised for the actual mural and the celebration. And so we hope that we can follow suit and do the same here in the city of Ann Arbor. Trevor?
Yeah, you know what? I just want to say I think that this is like a real chance to bring people together. I was a program manager at a Riverside Center for the arts, you know, for a while, and that really, it was about, there was definitely a lot of art on the wall and poetry and music, but it was really about bringing people together. And we went through like the painstaking process of like filing all these different individual community groups to bring them together over and over and over, and really made some great connection between people. And I think that that's what this space can also be for. Actually, I might be doing some consulting with UMA, and they basically said, we're racist and we want to have a more integrated, you know, community. We want more Black and brown people in the space and on the walls, you know, as far as like art and stuff like that. And so, you know, even like some community building we might be doing with them, going through the student groups that are at U of M, the Black-led student groups, that there's so many. There's so many separate pockets of community that could come together to make great, you know, community contributions, you know, educational, social, and civic. And I think that really, we're not just doing the mural, we're making a venue for these people to come together and make these contributions. So anyway, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us. And Sophie, it's good to see you again. And, you know.
So I will say we're movers and shakers as far as things go. We can like track down answers to questions you might have. You know, we can have Travis throw around his weight at council and, you know, see what he can do to support the changes that we need to make that happen. We don't have a city budget ourselves. The arts projects that we recommend are part of the capital improvement projects. So when we were talking about the resurfacing, I was thinking, well, if they're being resurfaced, they'll probably be repainted, and maybe we can sort of tie it into that. That's how I'm thinking about how we could get it funded. So that's how we do projects, as far as like if there's a project happening that's a city project and we can tie in design aspects to it, that's where we recommend projects happen, as opposed to having separate budgets for projects. So when we get answers about resurfacing, we'll be thinking about that also, not necessarily like, oh, it's gonna have to be redone then, but maybe it could be done then with the resurfacing, and we could support with permits and things that are going along with that project to save you guys funding all at the same time. So
thank you.
Yeah, so let us know if any questions pop up. We're here. You know, I think you probably have all of our emails because Vanita included you on our agendas, but you can reach out to myself. I'm the chair and Sarah's the vice chair. And of course, Vanita and Travis or whomever. If anyone had these great ideas, you want a historian, reach out to John, you know. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Unmute.
She probably can't unmute herself.
When I did it, I thought, oh, shoot. Now, do you all vote? How does this work? Do you vote on it and then you put a recommendation up? Or I know that's how we did in IPSI, so I was just wondering.
Sometimes we do vote for projects to go forward. I mean, I think we could move a motion that we support the project, but we'd have to, there'd still have to be those variances and things that would come
Do you want me to look
first.
into kind of what it would take, and then maybe we can bring something formal back to the commission at the next meeting that factors in all of those pieces?
I think that would be great. I think you'll get our support for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Have great days. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, good night.
Yeah, bye.
Good night.
Awesome. Great way to start the meeting. So the next thing on our agenda is the approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve? Thank you, Sarah. And David can be my second. Do I have any conversation about the minutes discussion? I only had a couple really teeny things, Vanita, and maybe it's better if I just email them to you, but I believe the Green Fair, they're not spelling it F-A-I-R-E, they're spelling it F-A-R-E, just a small thing. And then it says an opportunity to profile sustainable, local, and plant-based cuisine. I'm thinking you didn't mean the word profile, like try out. I don't know. Those were the only really small things that I found when I looked at it.
How about highlight?
Highlight, that would work. Any other discussion of the minutes? Sarah and David, would those be friendly changes that you would move forward with?
Sure.
All in favor of the minutes?
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. The minutes are approved. Next on our agenda is old business, which it looks like we don't have any. And then new business, which we don't have any of. It's going to be a short meeting. And then we have report from staff, Ann Arbor Area Community Foundation update. Do you want to do that, Vanita?
Or I can
Craig?
jump in, Vanita, if you want. Do you want to, Allison, talk about how you arrived at your dollar amount, and then I'll talk about process?
Yeah, so we explored whether or not there were specific projects that we wanted or that were here right now that we could be investing dollars into. We thought about the Pickle Street project, but we haven't heard anything about that moving forward for sure. We thought about maybe putting some money into the mural where there was supposed to be one happening with, I want to say Argus, but that's not what it's called, the Berm project. But just didn't see any fits for funding. But we did really think it was important to put some money towards communicating and marketing out about our current collection and then celebrating the Golden Paintbrush Awards since that we're bringing that back. And it's a great way to encourage the community to participate in public art projects. So we looked at doing some advertisements that would allow us to shout out who wins that, as well as lead people to our public art tour collection, our website. So we priced out the Observer, Brick Magazine, and a couple different other options. And with all of those put together, we came up with the number 2,500 as a number of dollars to take out to pay for a round of advertising that would go out once the Golden Paintbrush Awards are announced. So probably like August or so, we would announce that, depending how you guys are on timeline with that. So that's what we were kind of thinking, as far as we didn't want to take out all the money because we didn't have specific things we wanted to spend it on, but then we didn't want to just not do anything. We thought it would be important to use some of the money to, we've continually said we want to communicate, we want to get out there and tell people about our collection and what we have going and get people excited, and we don't know how to do that. And now we have some funding to do some of that with. So that was how we came upon that number.
And I'll jump in with the process. The Community Foundation will move the money over to the city in July. and it's available for the commission to spend through June of 2022. So that's fairly simple. The other piece is asking the commission to think about their next draw on those funds, not for a dollar purpose, for a dollar figure, so that when the budgets are put together in December and January next year, we can have that money baked into the budget, and we may not have to do any sleights of hand. No, Travis, block your ears. We may not have to do any sleights of hand to take the money in and spend it without an appropriation. So that's it.
Any questions, feedback?
What did you say the amount was?
2,500 is what we're taking out.
Very
There
much.
was, I think there was around, was it 7,000 available to us? And the remaining amount we're going to just leave available. We're not putting it back, putting it back into the fund. We're just leaving it there in case next year there's a larger project we want to take more money out for. Great. I don't see any questions. So I think unless, is there anything other items you guys want to report out staff wise that's not on the agenda?
I'm sure there is, but I'm not thinking of it right at the moment.
I know when I was reviewing the minutes, it said that the mayor was going to be tentatively set for May 17th at city council agenda, the city flag thing. Is there
Yeah, Sarah Higgins has repeatedly reminded them of the city flag memo that we've drafted, and it is within his purview or court to bring it to city council.
Okay.
I can follow up with him.
But I know she did it as recently as the end of last week.
I would assume, I don't know, I don't want to speak for him, but I would assume that with the budget and then we have a very long agenda for June 7th, that he might be waiting to get past a couple of those things. But I will follow up with him and see.
Great. Thank you. All right, so we can move on now to the report from the committees. The first working group that we have on our list is the Business Owners and Developers Work Group. I believe that would be you, John.
Nothing to report at this time. The Design Review Board hasn't met.
Okay. Capital Improvement Project Working Group. David?
Nothing to report now.
Great. Communications Work Group. That's Sarah and I, and basically our update would be that we are going to have money to do some advertising with. So we're excited about that. The Fundraising Work Group is myself, and I'm sorry, I don't know who else is in that group. We haven't met recently. We haven't done any fundraising.
Join you on that one.
Okay.
I am too.
Okay. Sarah and Peggy.
And the fundraising work group would encompass any grant opportunities, because I know we had been speaking a little bit about a current or upcoming grant opportunity,
right?
That Vanita has been sort of spearheading. So we'll figure out
if we apply for that.
and see if we can move forward with that.
You're right. I was thinking the grant was under something else, but I don't know where else it would fall. So it's definitely under that one. Yeah. Leadership Forum Work Group has not met, but I don't know if I've shared with everybody that while Deb is no longer on the commission formally, she has said she would be involved with that working group still. So she's still going to be helping out with that, which I'm excited about. But we have not met to do anything with that currently. now that we can actually get together with people in person more, maybe there will be more prospects for that. The nominations and leadership review work group are two work groups that are kind of lumped together, but as far as nominating people for our openings, because you can see it's a small group tonight, we have 2 openings going that are open right now, Deb's vacant spot and Jonah's. And Travis has been really helping me out with recruitment. And if you want to go ahead and give an update, Travis.
I can give you a little bit of an update because I also have a question into the clerk right now about this. But with my and Allison's recommendation, the mayor has decided to nominate 2, I think, outstanding individuals, both of whom were actually appropriate enough for this meeting, involved in the library board or the library's Black Lives Matter mural as community panelists. So he is planning to nominate Marionetta Porter and Jamal Buford to serve on the Art Commission. For anyone who doesn't know, I can briefly read the paragraph that I sent on each of them to the mayor. Marionetta Porter is a professor at the Stamp School of Art and Design. Her research and scholarly investigations are grounded in the study of African American history, culture, and representation. These themes encompass various genres ranging from ethnography and folklore to visual culture, language, and religious traditions. She's particularly interested in the ways these complex relationships are woven into the fabric of everyday life. Through the language of visual art, Porter seeks to draw a correlation between historic memory and modern African American life, to give voice to the history of diaspora and to acknowledge the importance of its influence in the birth and blooming of American culture. And Jamal Buford is a rapper and songwriter who co-founded and runs the rap performing arts group, The Black Opera, alongside many other artists. He's also a project specialist with Washington, My Brother's Keeper, and was recently partnered with AFC Ann Arbor, the Rob Murphy Foundation, and the Mighty Oak Youth Project to launch CLR Academy, which is the weekly program supporting young kids' right to dream, believe, create, and explore through sport, nutrition, reading, and writing. And so he has decided to nominate both of them. I thought at this upcoming June 7th meeting, but for some reason, only Professor Porter is appearing on our list right now as a nominee. I did follow up with him today, and he said that he, as he expressed to council, plans on nominating both of them. So I followed up with the clerk to find out if that was an oversight in not including him. So hopefully they will both be voted on at the June 7th meeting, and we will have new commissioners for our next meeting.
I wonder if Jonah hasn't officially been taken out of the system.
Both are, there are 2 vacancies showing on the system. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm very excited. They're both going to add a lot of depth, and I'm so excited. We're going to have a performing artist involved and someone with the university, and they both have such awesome backgrounds, and it's going to be awesome. So hopefully they will go forward. I don't see any reason why not. And they will be able to join us by our August meeting. So thank you, Travis, for helping push all that through and for helping with that process. For those of you who don't know, people apply online, but we also, in addition to getting random applications, we encourage people to apply, and then they apply online. And so that was the situation, is that reached out to these people and said, we think you'd be awesome on the commission, and then they applied. So glad to have those positions filled with really awesome candidates, and hope that they will join us in August. So that's exciting. Policy and governance work group. We haven't had any policy or governance unless you talk about taking money out of the community foundation as governance, and that's been covered. Special projects work group. Sophie or Peggy or
Yeah, we've been working on getting the judges for the, without naming any names, for the Golden Paintbrush Award, and perhaps Sarah would like to talk about it actually, because she's sent out letters and got responses, and so we're at the point where we just have to. We've got criteria from the original thing, but we have to create the, this sort of worksheet for how you judge people. There's a word for that, which is eluding me. But anyway, Sarah.
Yes, so we do have 4 confirmed judges now. So that's an update actually for the Golden Paintbrush Special Projects Work Group as well. So we're almost to our goal of 5. I am planning out and sending another reminder email to one potential judge, and then probably going down our list and inviting one more person. So we're close to being able to move forward with putting together that packet of information for the judges and setting some meetings up so that they can all speak and move forward with then the actual announcement after the selection, which should be really exciting. So, and we have marketing dollars now to put behind that announcement, and hopefully just grow a larger and larger audience for the 2022 Golden Paintbrush Award as well. So moving forward on that.
Vanita, can you remind us how many applicants there were for that?
Submissions.
Submissions, yeah. You're muted.
Don't quote me. I think the total may have been around 24 or 25.
I remember you saying 24, and then we had a few overlaps of nominations, which I believe we would actually want to let the judges know that, you know, there were projects that were nominated multiple times.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is a big deal that we are up to 5 judges, because the commission might be interested to know that we've had trouble getting people to commit to judging. We're not sure why, right, Sarah? But I think it has to do with people becoming re-engaged with work and not wanting to take on anything more. But we're continuing, we're pushing on. So
Yes, and we do have an invitation from Lucy Ann Vance potentially to go on her talk show. She won't be able to be a judge this year, but she would love to get the word out. So that's something that we can look forward to as well.
Darren, you and I have talked before, but if you need any help with getting any more judges or names or things like that, just let me know.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone who submitted all of these names. And, you know, we've had a good response. And again, getting the word out, most important thing.
Travis, did I see your hand go up? No. Okay. All right. Anything else from special projects? No. Okay. Youth outreach work group, which I think you're the lone person on that now, Peggy.
yeah, so we're gonna have to find some more people for that.
Yes. So if anyone is interested in participating in youth outreach, let Peggy know.
Hopefully when our new commissioners get approved, and I'm going to say when they're approved, that might align perfectly with some of the work that Jamal does outside of the commission as well.
Yeah.
So that might be something he is interested in.
Perfect. Thanks. I also know that when we continue to move forward with this city flag project, we had talked about trying to engage some of our high school students in that civic engagement project. So anyway, that might be a good way to reach out to the youth.
Definitely. All right. Any working group items that may have been missed somehow? Okay. Before I adjourn, are there any personal announcements or things you would like to share? Sophie.
Well, I'm going to share again because you can never share too much. The Westside Art Hop is going ahead for, instead of usual May, in June 12th to 13th. So we're doing it over 2 days. And so far, the weather looks nice. And also I'll be talking about it on the Lucienne Lance show on Tuesday. So that will be broadcast. Well, I'm going to be talking to her, and the recording will be broadcast on Tuesday the 8th in the morning and the afternoon. So listen out for that. And we have over 50 artists. So I thought we'd have not many people applying and not many people volunteering to host, but happily we've had lots of people on both sides. So though we've always got room for an extra lovely porch, if you live on the west side, let me know.
And Sophie, I do have a shout out from Colleen Crawley, who heard you on the radio and told me that I unfortunately missed it, but she said you just did a fantastic job. And we're actually going to spread the word at Motawi, certainly, with a bunch of artists to definitely participate. So great work.
So Sophie, if an individual wanted to just like come as a spectator, how do you get involved? Like,
yeah, the best thing to do is to go to westsidearthop.com, where as soon as I have 5 minutes to put together, I'm going to put the addresses on there. And so you'll be able to follow a little trail and go to each of the venues, which are mostly private homes, garages and porches and driveways.
oh, thanks.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
You can stop by my house. There will be an artist at the end of my driveway.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna give the same shout out to Sophie. I actually have the WEMU story pulled up still, so I'll send it out to anyone who missed it.
Thank you.
I like it. Thanks.
Well, I will let you all know, if you haven't heard already, the Ann Arbor Art Fair is happening. It will be 3 days, not 4 this year, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, no Sunday. But we're going forward. So come out, support your artists, support your restaurants, all your businesses. I hope to see you. There are no more announcements. I will, do I have to get a motion to adjourn? Okay. John, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Peggy, thank you. All in favor of adjourning? Great. Any opposed? Okay, good. Everyone have a great evening. I'll see you later. Take care.